Hey, so today's a landmark, milestone, if you will. This is the 140th shave with my Gillette Nacet blade. And as you can see, I'm holding the little envelope very gingerly. And so I've got 50 dots on this side and enough to make 139 on this side. And I'm glad I did it with a Sharpie because I just got a droplet of water in there. Hopefully it didn't bleed. All right. 149. Today's razor, as usual, is the Sheraton from Gillette back in 1938. And as you can see, it's an open comb razor, and its geometry just really agrees with my face. At this age of the blade, if I was using a mild razor, I'd definitely not have this blade going this far. It would be too uncomfortable, but this is, and here's the thing, this is actually a good razor for me with young blades too, so it's just got this magic geometry that none of my other razors seem to have. But there we go. Soaking while I put my blade in, while I restarted my phone, that kind of thing, has been my fine accoutrements fresh vetiver with just enough water on it to cover the soap. Because I'm going to pour this slurry water into the lather bowl, at least most of it. The blade's already in, and just for such a milestone, I'll go ahead and actually show you the blade. There's the super clean top side. For any of you following this particular blade marathon, you know that I'm always shaving on one side of this razor. Always shaving with this side with this old X on the bottom. And so I'm going to flip it at the end and see if I notice any difference in the shave. Like maybe if there's been a burr that has been created during this whole time and it's one direction. You know, because there's some people who flip their blades, and most people say you don't need to do that. It's just one edge. Anyway, and it also shows that there's some, you know, the coloring and stuff is very different from the used bottom side than the practically new looking top side. So there's my Nacet. And I have finally caught up to my other brushes. I'm on the, kind of calling it the Boarathon, because I've got 7 Boar brushes that I'm really enjoying watching them grow up, watching them break in. And I now bring this one to 11 uses, which matches the youngest of the other 6 that are in the thing. This one came in after the fact. I really like it a lot. It's got a big splay. It's got long bristles. And so I've used these O-rings right here, 2 of them, to rein in and narrow the splay. All right, so I'm going to take and pour a little bit, probably not all of it, because I don't want to overwater the lather, and then I'm going to pour the rest down the drain. And then I'm going to shake most of the water from the brush. It's my general custom. We'll see if it works with this soap. And let's see, we're going to go 40 seconds is going to roll around here. And then I'm going to load for 40 seconds with this brush. Sometimes this brush seems to need a little bit more time. So I started at 40, and we're going to load until 40. So 20 seconds after the next minute. We've got, as you can hear maybe and see, we've got a very airy lather that is overflowing. I'm just medium pressure, that's what we're talking about here. 10 more seconds. I like this fresh vetiver. This is their stone soap bowl. And there we go. I may have loaded plenty. I may have loaded too much. Maybe I don't need to load it quite this much when I have already pre-soaked it. So we'll just have to see. Now I'm going to pause you while I rinse off this. All right, I've also wetted my face. That's one of my pre-shave routines. A lot of people have other ones that include soap and scrubbing and things like that, but not me. All right. Printed, 3D printed lather bowl from Computer Files, which are in the description of the video. And so we're just going to start. Poured about half of the water from the soap bowl into this. I think maybe pouring most of it might have been making it a little too wet, and so I just wanted to play it safe because you can always add more, but it's hard to take it away. Yeah, it's a nice scent. Low key. I'm a sucker for the ceramic soap bowls, or just kind of soap bowls generated by the company, like Suppleficio Veracino. They have their own wooden bowls. Fine has these cool looking ceramic bowls that match the coloring of the particular soap for the most part. Mitchell's wool fat is nice. It's got a very vintage looking kind of cream colored soap bowl. So it's coming together really nice. Still kind of pasty looking, lots of peaks, that sort of thing. And so I'm going to add let's add a whole teaspoon of water. These tips have been comfortable since like use number 3. Today I let it soak in distilled water, and distilled water is what I just added. So this is a shade that's a lather that's built with that, and not my hard tap water. Let it soak for about an hour. That's what I'm doing, and I think I might keep that as the Boar brush break-in process that I like. It's a little more aggressive than just using it, and some people just use it and that's all they ever do. And there are some brushes that will break in that way really nicely in about a week, some 2 or 3 weeks. Another half teaspoon of water in there. Some will take longer, but the 1 to 3 hour soak method seems to be doing well for me, especially with my my Zenith Boar, and these Semogues doing really well. And it's still kind of pasty looking, kind of dryish, so we'll just keep going. Looks like maybe I could have put a little bit more water in it, who knows. Also, it could be that since it was pre-soaked for a few minutes, the 40-second load time could have been too much, which means that to get a good lather consistency, I'll need to add more water than I normally might if I had the right amount of soap in there. So that's something to think about. I like the larger bowls because you can kind of tilt them and then kind of mix up your, do a lot of mixing in one corner of it over here, so that then the other half is kind of used to store what you've already mixed up, and then you can get around to it in a second and all that. Yeah, there we go. Still kind of looks like it's a little too dry. But let's do a little finger check. Take a little bit. That's nice and slick. I don't think that's going to be too creamy. Why don't we just try to use that? I think that might be right on the money. Looks nice and slick. One of my favorite ever soaps is by this brand, Fine Accoutrements, and it's their Santal Absolute, and it's a sandalwood scent that I love. All right, A little fresh water on my face. Most people like to wet their whiskers before they shave. All right, here we go. Oh yeah, let me just show you the final look of the lather before we use it. And this is with distilled water, and so if you want to repeat this, it should be fairly easy to. Look at some things to note about the lather. Look at things like this ridge running through here, how it's holding its shape. We've got peaks up here. We've got, look at these contours right here. If it's holding its shape that much, that tells you about the level of water. Some people and some soaps, you need to get to a much wetter place than this. You need to get where it looks more like a light bulb and there's not these contours that are there. But this one, I believe, feels right. I maybe add more water to it, but that is easy to do. Oh yeah, nice scent coming up. It's light, but it's there and enjoyable. I like medium scented soaps. Soaps that you can definitely smell when you're using them. Except there are a few, kind of like this one. Yeah, this looks, and this is a 2-day shave, and so my stubble looks a little bit different coming through the lather than usual. So I need to remember that too. And that first pass is not going to be as comfortable as usual. Adding a little water. So I'll do a couple of sprays in the bowl too. Try to keep it the same consistency. And you can tell I'm right because look at all the extra lather we're generating here. Nice, comfortable brush, holds a ton of lather. And it would hold even more lather if I opened up the bristles. Yeah, I've got tons of lather here. Looks like that 40 seconds was not needed. All right, that'll be good enough. Might be a little bit rough. The old blade prefers just a 1-day growth. All right, 140 uses. Ah, that's nice. Really happy with that. Slick. I mean, just a little bit of tugging. Not very much. Cross grain pattern right here is kind of a swirl, and I switch my directions and I'm okay. Gotta watch my directions in this area. One of the reasons I switched, the reason I started looking into double-edged razors was because I saw one in Walmart. And I was using these triple blade razors. Sure, there were 5 blades out at the time, several years ago. But I was using these triple blade ones, and I didn't enjoy shaving, so I was only doing it every 3 or 4 days. And the area in between the blades was getting chock full of hairs and soap grime. And it was so thick that it was such a pain to rinse out. Sometimes if I waited too long, I would have to just chuck the razor and pick a new one, you know. And I mean, I like the experience just fine. I had my can of foam, you know, and it worked. It was comfortable. I don't think I went against the grain. I think I stuck with the grain motions for the most part. Let me rinse this off. All right, there we go. Now let's mix up that water I sprayed in here. But I thought, my hairs are getting stuck in these razors. I've seen these old school. In fact, the very first shave I ever did was with a Gillette Super Adjustable from my grandpa. And I did one shave with it, and then I moved on to electrics because I didn't know what I was doing. I used canned goo. Who knows how things would have been different if I would have had some real soap and a brush back then. I was young though. I probably would have just switched to the electrics anyway. Who knows? But you know, fast forward a bunch of years and I'm thinking, I wonder if these single-bladed double-edged razors, this safety razor here, would get clogged. I wasn't even coming at it hating the cost of the cartridges, because I'd switched to kind of low cost, would get them with coupons and things like that, and triple bladed disposables. So cost wasn't, unlike many, the motivator for me to switch. It was just that clogging. It made it such a pain. It took shaving. Shaving took so long because of that. So I found the Vanderhagen kit at Walmart. My wife got me that deluxe kit. And I really enjoyed it. I figured out how to use the Badger brush. At the time I was face lathering. So I figured out how much water to put on top of the soap puck to then make that be all of the water I needed to use during the shave, because that would be enough to get the right consistency of lather, and then I switched to face lathering and it would have enough lather on the brush to do the job, 2-3 passes. And I didn't know anything about all the stuff available on Amazon, eBay. I didn't know there had been some kind of resurgence among especially hipsters and stuff with this old style of shaving. And I'll rinse. And so I went through that initial pack of Vanderhagen blades and went back to Walmart for a refill, and I saw that their pack of blades at the time was maybe $5 for 5 blades. Now that's insane, because at the time I was not marathoning any blades. I was using them till they didn't feel super peak anymore. By the way, I'm getting a really nice shave with this. Super slick. I do have maybe 3 more passes of lather, so I didn't need to load that long, definitely. Really nice, pleasurable shave here. Expected that first pass to be a little rougher than it was. But so I thought, this can't be right. with these blades. Maybe I can order some online. So sure enough, that is what caused me to discover the wet shaving area of Amazon. I didn't know about forums, the forums that were available to the wet shavers, where people got great advice. All I knew was the Amazon reviews. I didn't know about Reddit, subreddits. Went off Amazon, and fortunately my criteria was kind of high. If I was going to buy something, it needed to have a large chunk of positive reviews on Amazon. And so that way I didn't get hoodwinked with some of the stuff that's got inflated reviews. In general, I made really good decisions on that, as it turned out, because I had high expectations, high criteria, and rinse time again. So with those refill Vanderhagen blade tucks, would have cost more like $1, maybe $2. That wouldn't have triggered me to go on a hunt, and things could have been totally different. I could still be using those same blades, just buying a few more at Walmart every once in a while, who knows. But I certainly enjoy the history of this hobby, and I enjoy the shaves. I enjoy enjoying my shaves. I definitely do it much more frequently than I ever did with canned goo. And I think maybe just in so many areas, the canned goo is really what keeps people away from this area. It keeps them from discovering it. I mean, it's not for everybody. I think it's for most guys, though, because you can buy inexpensive products and get great shaves, and so it's for all price points, all budgets. You can buy expensive stuff if you want, but you don't have to. There are cheap ways to go with this hobby. All the way around, from soap to brushes to razors, all of it. And you can also do it fast. You can do a 9-minute 3-pass shave. I've done it myself. You have, or you can also draw it out and really enjoy it. And if you like to put different products on yourself, and pre-shave stuff, moisturizers and cleansers and washes and all that, that's available there too. Nice scents, no scents at all. Powerful scents. This one's easygoing and unassuming, and I like it. And I've been kind of sniffing it for a while, and I thought, one of these days I'm going to have to do this one instead of the samples that I've got on hand that I'm trying to work through, or some new used soaps that I just got in. I've got a stack of these ceramic bowls with the different fine soaps on them. I just like that brand. So anyway, that's how I got into this hobby. And it can be expensive, and I've spent some money on it over the last few years now. But it's also money that I can sell stuff back, because most of the stuff I get is new. I'm used, and so I can get kind of money back if I want. But also, it's not that much compared to a hobby. Right now, I could stop buying totally and fully enjoy the hobby until I die without a problem, without buying any more products. So I think in that way, if you forecast it out that far, it can be economical. All right, I'm not saying it's as economical as it could be for those guys who have one razor and can buy the 100-pack of blades and stick with that, and and buy like Arco, or where that a couple dollar stick will last you 3 months. Stick with that until it's done, then you buy another one, or a puck of PDP, Prix de Provence 63 is one of my favorites. Great scent. And I think that lasts like a year's worth of shaves for $15. Martin de Condé is an expensive soap. If you were to just order, it costs about $30 for the puck, $30 for the jar and the soap inside, but then almost that to ship it to you because it's over in France. But that stuff is so concentrated, and you end up needing only a little bit of it per shave, that by the time you figure out how many shaves you're able to get with it, it's definitely over a year. Some people have estimated it's more like 2 years. So, especially if you buy it used, then, slightly used, then you don't have to eat the shipping costs because the guy's already done that. Then that's a really good price per shave, even though it's a little upfront, heavy. Anyway, all right, face feels great. Something I learned last shave. I was doing a quick and dirty shave with kind of the Marco method, or a modified version of it, where I just loaded a lot. I ended up overloading. And something that I didn't see coming was it dried my face out because I had too much soap. I didn't have this consistency of lather. It was a little too thick, a little too concentrated. And so a higher amount of soap to water is, as you might expect, a little on the drying side. And it did that to me. And a couple hours after the shave, I was unaccustomed to how dry my face felt. Just not usually something I go through because of this type of lather that I have here will not give me that experience. And so I had to whip out some Balm. See, look at that. There you go. That's what's better. That worked really well. And even I could thin this out a little bit more and it would be great. This right here. See, look how flexible, look how elastic. This is the right consistency. See, this looks more like the light bulb I was telling you. It's not all the way, but looks very different from that one I showed you. A little bit of flexibility in that peak. So I've still got 3 passes in here, no problem. So that's a good scent. Easy going. I like it. All right. Performance great. Results. Hey, I don't see any length on these tips. I just see the ends of the hairs in my trouble spot area. Can you believe that? 140 uses. And it still gives me a nice close shave in just 3 passes. Sure, I did have to blade buff some. Didn't have to do that back when it was 70 uses old. All right, well, I'm going to clean up, figure out what I want to put on post-shave. In keeping with the unassuming nature, the easygoing nature of this scent, slick, nice, useful lather that I have, I'm going to go with useful, yet unassuming in terms of the Balm. This is Nivea Original. It's one of the few that is a balm, lotiony type post-shave product, but it's also got a little bit of alcohol in it. So it does help to do a little bit of the first aid work and disinfect, and it helps you sting, helps give you some stings if you roughed yourself up or your technique wasn't all as careful as it could be. A little bit of a scent to it, fairly pleasant. But then it does have alcohol in it, but it mostly has nutritious stuff for your skin. So balances out that rough treatment of the alcohol. So not something that's going to overwhelm me too much. Nice comfy shave. 140, boom, down the drain, in the books. I'm going to clean up. So I just finished dropping this on the towel back there. Help dry it out. 12 uses now, and it's a wonderful brush. I could use the handle to be just a little bit longer, but it's kind of wide and stocky, so my big hands do work with it well. Some of the tips have split, but it's comfortable right now and enjoyable. And so as there are still plenty that still need to split, that means it's going to get softer and softer and softer and more enjoyable. That's terrific. And this is a $18 brush, I think, maybe 20 maybe. Wonderful for that price, that kind of softness. I like these so much better than the synthetics. It's not really competition with the Badgers because they're ultra soft, and but the price point's a lot higher, and so you can kind of get what you pay for in a way. But the synthetics are kind of in a similar price point to these guys, but I would have these any day. Most of those synthetics are just too stiff, and whereas these guys don't shove my skin around, they move around and move over my skin instead of being quite so springy and chevy, even though the synthetics have really nice tips. This is definitely my preference. All right, so he is now 11 uses old, so he can now be in the regular rotation in the Boarathon I've been working with. And here's that soap. Fits right down in this ceramic soap bowl, they call it, and it's easy to hold, of course. And they styled this. It's very similar to their brushes, which I think are overpriced, but so I don't have any of those. But they, because they have an interior concave rim right here, they stack all on top of each other. And I found a little plastic top to maybe a chip dip thing or something, and it fits right on top of this. So the top one that would normally be uncovered, I put that little plastic thing on. So now I'll put this one on the bottom of the stack. I think maybe American Blend might be next. So I'll smell it for a few days. I'll work through some samples and do some other ones, and then I'll return back to my fine rotation. All right, how much water did I use? That was if I'm going to pre-soak the soap, just a little bit of water. I'm guessing I may only need to, next time I might try 25 seconds of loading with this brush, this type of brush. 3 teaspoons of water was used, plus, how much is one? Yeah, I might have put the soapy bloom water, soak water. I might have put 1 teaspoon in there, so that could be roughly 4 teaspoons of water in total for this lather, and that is a little bit on the high side, but that matches the overloading that I did with the soap. So back both the figures off a little bit, and then you'll be right on the money. Well, there we go. Very nice shave for 140 uses on that blade. I just don't see it stopping anytime soon. It's not that different from 110 uses. It really just doesn't feel that different. So it seems to have reached a certain point where it's just the degradation it's still a sharp blade, and the degradation is so slow that the difference is not really noticeable, because it's reached a certain point. So who knows? I mean, I could easily see it going to 160 without any problem at all. On this run right here, I'm going to keep on going. I'm not going to stop at 140. While I'm on this run, I'm not able to use my other more comfortable razors, the smooth guys, where I put a blade in it and it just feels like I'm not even cutting hairs, you know. Can't use those while I'm on this marathon. And so that's why I pause sometimes. So I'll pause at 150. We'll get there. It didn't take me too long to get to 140 from 130. It's always funny how that seems to go. Anyway, well, there we go. I was, as always, happy with the soap. That brush has just been really nice. I like the O-ring factor that I brought in with that brush. I found some advice online about that, and that it would have displayed a lot more, and then less bristles would have been in the center part that really was the business area where I needed it to be. And so it increases the softness and the feel by bringing more in, less air around it and that kind of thing. And the blade, of course, I just told you about. This razor is just a little miracle with its geometry. So open comb just keeps on going. All right, I'm a happy camper. All right, that's it for now. So we'll start with 141 on the next shave. Figure out what, I think maybe I've got a Wickham sample that I might bring up. I've been really happy with the Wickham soaps that I've used. I got some samples, and I really like the base. It's a nice performing base, and I've just found out that that's a UK company that has been around for a long time. Like D.R. Harris, those two might be the only old school soap producers, shaving product producers, where their soap is still competitive and enjoyable. Triple milled, lasts a long time, great scents. Oh, the D.R. Harris scents. I like Windsor, but I like Marlboro even better. Really nice. And so this, the Wickham and the D.R. Harris, they haven't compromised. The Trumpers, Taylor of Old Bond Street, and True Fit and Hill have taken their hard soaps to an outside vendor, and so they're not as quality as they used to be. But the creams are, they may be overpriced depending on your perspective, but their creams are still legit. So, if you like creams, don't hesitate to give those a shot. All right, it's been a great shave. Much nicer than I thought it would be with this much growth. It felt just like a normal growth shave, but I had 2 days of growth on me. Take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. I hope you learned something from this one. Good night.